Greetings, everybody. Turn on the mic so everybody out there can hear me tonight. Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum, where we dive into the deepest and the murkiest and we chop it up. As always, I am your host, Rex Ruger, Triple X. So dirty they had to give me 3 of them. I'm your bastard of ceremonies, the #1 scumbag himself, the hairball, also known as Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Updates coming soon on that when the hard science comes in. Like I said, wheels of justice are turning. And it will be proven once and for all that I am the son. That's right, the son of glam, the front man for the band. Got 1 million fans, just got done smoking a few grams. Give me peanut butter and jam, shazam, wop bop loo bop wop bam bam, going out with a bang. As you can see, I move like the man, I shake like the man. I am the hair metal high priest, the king of sleaze. The man with the golden voice and the silk tongue. Get a load of that, ladies. Now you see why 3 X's. Coming to you as always from the Den of Sin, otherwise known as the Pink Pussycat Lounge. Give you a little update before we let our guest in here, and we got a good one. A kid with some aggression. Good young band. We'll get to that. Let me pimp my own bands, because as you know, I am the hardest working man in show business, right behind my daddy, Mr. Diamond David Lee Roth Sr. The Jizz Drops just put out our album, Meat Whistler's Delight. Come on the Rug. Have a self-titled EP coming out. PCD, Postcoital Drip. I think we've got some shows coming up. Check my social media platforms. Recently started a side project called The Gray Pubes. And also the project I was doing with the Fun Bags should be coming out. That's called Bob on the Knob. Fist Banger. Grab your ankles. That's an EP we've got coming out. Be looking for that. Loose Labia. Little punk metal project I got going on. Not really my thing, as I am the king of sleaze, but you know, I experiment. Can't get enough of Triple X Rex. So yeah, Loose Labia has got an EP coming out called Load of Goo. Moist Cotton Briefs. Scrotal Sweat Symphony. That will be coming to you very soon. Early October. Of course, my punk band, The Ejaculators. We are working on an EP, shooting straight from the testes. So I got a lot of stuff on the horizon. I'm a busy man. And yet I still find time to bring you guys exciting content. Once I learn how to use my computer, you guys will really be in for a treat. But no, we got a good young guest coming in tonight in a good young band called Released Minds. These guys are heavy. These guys are South American. This is going to be a shoes off, as you can see, interview as we stomp into the jungles of Colombia. Yeah, this is good South American shit. Heavy duty. Oh, wow. Rip your face open. And, you know, the King of Sleaze can get behind that. You know, everybody can't do what I do, be what I am. But, you know, I always applaud the effort. You want to get into show business and give the man a run for his money? I invite all comers. That's right. Bring it on. You see how busy I am. You can't be the hair metal high priest and the King of Sleaze for nothing. There's our guest right now. Yeah, I'm happy to have. I like to let these young artists get out there and do their thing. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Your picture's a little frozen. You got your Wi-Fi on? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I got it now.
What do you think of this head of hair, huh?
Oh, that's sick. Looks very good. I'm in executive mode today. I'm in a veterinary congress, so...
Let me tell you, when the hard science comes in, it's going to come out that you're looking at Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. That's not before your time, right? You look like a young guy, but you remember old school Van Halen, I hope.
I do. I absolutely do.
I hope so. I don't want it to get lost as the generations go on. You know, we can't forget about the classics. We can't.
We never do. They are big influence for everyone. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for they.
Absolutely. So your name is Juan Sebastian. I don't want to say it wrong. Duque?
Yes, Duque. You can just call me
Duque.
Sebastian. It's shorter. Latin America, we have a lot of names. Some people we have 3, 4.
And the name of the band is Released Minds. Who came up with that? It sounds so trippy. It sounds like
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the band started more like a hardcore band a while ago. I wasn't even around. It was called Mantra,
Okay.
but I think that's a very common name. I think if you do your proper Google search, you'll find that there are a lot of
I think there's
bands.
been a couple, at
Yeah,
least, right?
yeah. So they decided to switch it to something that was related to that. Higher reality, mind openness, connecting with the universe, and then they
Yeah.
came up with Release Minds, and I like the concept.
So this new album, Degraded Divinity, this thing really crushes. This thing really crushes. Couple tracks that have stood out to me, and I've been listening to it all day preparing to interview you. I really love And So They Fell. And the other one that I really loved, I'm probably going to mispronounce. Is it Kogai?
Kogi, yes.
Kogi. Yeah.
Kogi, yes.
I've really taken to that one. But I'm telling you what, I love the tempo changes, the drum changes, the heavy breakdowns. I mean, you really pack a lot into these songs. They're well crafted.
Well, thank you very much, and appreciate it. And it's a real honor to know that people outside of Colombia and Latin America has taken the time to listen to it and to even analyze and see that we've tried to put a lot of things from different genres into the songs.
Yeah.
And it's a very complete work that we've tried to do here, like mixing different influences in terms of sound, and the whole album is divided in 2 different places, parts. Parts. Yep. English, right?
Right. It's all right.
And what we try to do is to mix 2 different sounds inside of the same album,
right,
by keeping a logic in what we are saying. So it's called Degraded Divinity because it starts with Kogi. That's the opening track.
Right.
And what it talks about is the myth of creation, but one of the indigenous cultures that were in our geography, right?
Okay.
Before the Spaniards came and conquer everything. So it's like the creation, and it starts with the mythological creations. Then it covers even some Egyptian mythology part with mummification rites, which describes how mummies were made in the ancient Egypt. And then it goes to And So They Fell, because the whole album is about the concept of how divinity gets degraded. How it starts being like the way we explain the world, the way we understood it as humans.
Right.
And then we suddenly found ourselves becoming with the power and the possibilities of those gods or those divine entities through science, and how it can go very wrong with a lot of the topics that we like in metal, like genetic modification and digital immortality.
So would you call this a concept album of sorts?
Yes, absolutely. Concept album with the sound in it, because the first part we will use 6-string guitars tuned in drop C. And then for the second part, which I think you realize is more dense in terms of sound, it's not that melodic, it's more dense. We are using 7-string guitars with an even lower tuning. None of the guitarists are here, so I don't want to say anything dumb. But but yeah, it's definitely more dense and with a more saturated sound. So that's what we wanted to do, like the whole degradation, even not only the concept, but even with the sound. So yeah, we try to put a lot of things and influences there.
But I would certainly say that despite the heaviness, though, there's certainly lots of melodic parts, though. You've included a lot of melody.
Yeah. We love melodic death metal. For me, it's a big influence. The Black Dahlia Murder. Trevor passed away a couple months back. Yes, rest in peace.
Not long ago.
Yeah, so he's been my biggest influence. So we love and we really dig melodic death metal. And of course, some of the older ones, At the Gates and things like that. So yes, we like to put that melodic part.
So before I went on the air, I told my viewers, I showed them that I had no shoes on, and I said, "It's a shoes off. This is a shoes off interview, and we're going stomping it." And I said, we're gonna go stomping into the jungles of Colombia and find out who's making this maniacal music. And then you pop up all GQ smooth and looking like a businessman. Nobody would expect it.
No, look, literally, I'm in a business trip right now. I work with
Yeah,
something totally different. I work with medicinal cannabis, actually.
I like the
Which
sound of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in a veterinary congress, but now it's over, and I'm with my shirt on. But I wanted to go to the jacuzzi. The thing is that it's raining. It what happens in the jungle. It
Yeah,
rains
yeah,
from one moment
sure,
to
sure.
another.
So what's the music business like? Obviously, here in the United States, it's not quite what it used to be in terms of people going out and buying physical albums. A lot of stuff being downloaded, some stuff illegally. Tons of different music platforms out there. How does a young band starting out in Colombia, what's the road like there? As far as navigating through the music business.
Look, we do this because we love this. We have the passion. We
Right.
dig heavy music, and of course, most of the influences come from other places, America, Europe, etc. I've been doing this for I don't know 15 years or something like that in different bands. I've been with Release Mind the last 4 years. But the reality is that it is very difficult. I don't think I think there's only a bunch of people that can do a living out of doing music, especially underground or heavy music here in Latin America, mainly because it's not mainstream at all. If you think that the public it's small in America or in Europe, it is
Yeah.
way smaller here.
Sure.
Reggaeton came as a plague in the early 200s, and it has stayed, and it has monopolized most of the public here in this area of the world. So we do it. We said with the nails, like trying to squeeze every resource and the time that we have. And most of us have different jobs that have nothing to do with music. Only one of our bandmates works in a music related business. He's a producer, and he also does live sound. But besides that, all of us have other jobs because yes, there are some very nice concerts, but they will not remotely allow you to pay your bills or make a living out of it. So
Right.
most of us do other things. Hence the reason to wear a disguise most of the days, and then wear black in the weekend.
Now, what about other bands that have come from South America? And forgive me for not being up on how many of them there are, but like, do you look at any of those bands, like for instance, like a Sepultura? Do you look at them as any kind of like Max Cavalera coming from South America? I don't know. I'm sure you have other metal bands that have gained popularity. I just can't think of any off the top of my head except for them.
Yeah, there are some very nice bands in Argentina. There is one band called No Guerra. That band, it's awesome. I think they do a bit better down there because there's more public for it. Remember, the Latin America is the realm of inequity, so the public will pretty much not have money to go and pay more than a couple dollars for a metal show.
Right.
So it's a really big struggle. Again, we do this because we love it. It's a matter of passion. But most of us bands, when we go touring to other country or something like that, we gotta pay ourselves most of the bills and try to compensate some of the expenses with what we're paying, with what we being paid in a gig or by selling some of the albums. But yeah, it's hard being a metalhead here down here.
Again, it's I don't think it's much easier here in the United States by any means. I mean, I've told people before, I've literally watched the heavy metal section in our record store just get smaller and smaller and smaller. Absolutely. And all you could really find is like the latest CD. But if you want anything in anybody's back catalog, forget about it. It's never going to be on the shelves anymore, unless you're a big established band. You might be able to find the last 5 or 6 Metallica albums or Megadeth albums. But as far as finding anybody obscure, discovering a band like yours would be very difficult.
Yeah, and it's very complex what has happened with the music business because it tends to be democratized. I don't know if that's the right way to say, but it's cheaper to make music, so everyone is able to make music now. Right. I literally have a small studio in my house just to record the voices, and that's how we recorded the voices for Degraded Divinity through the pandemic. So everyone is making music, but also everyone has access to it either for free. If you don't pay Spotify Premium, you still get to hear any song that you want. And then if you upload your music to Spotify, they are not paying at all, really. Like certain thousands of pennies and stuff like that. So we just gotta understand that it changed. It changed and it will not go back to the times where an artist will sell millions of copies of an album and then
Yeah.
make a living out of it. You gotta live. If you want money, maybe participating in a big festival, music festival, is your
Yeah.
best chance to get some money.
So I noticed you have a nice blend on this album of going back and forth between screams and growls, which I know sometimes can make fans crazy who are like the metal snobs, as I call them, who say you can't be a screamer and a growler. Your band's got to be one or the other. How do you find a way to balance that? Because you do both of them exceptionally well. Is there one that and is there one that you like doing more?
No, I love doing both. Again, it's all about Black Dahlia more their voice style, and he
Yeah,
and he and,
I
and
can hear
Trevor
it.
was Trevor was
Yeah.
very good at switching between one and the other. And I started maybe 15 years ago doing covers of that, and that was the way I learned to do it. So it's comfortable for me.
Well, I love
Doing
seeing that. I love seeing that in a young band, not succumbing to that and saying, "Oh, I mean, I have to commit to one or the other," and being willing to kind of swim both ends of that pool. I mean, it works, and it should be.
yeah. Even sometimes like putting some big squills there that like people don't expect them to be in this genre sometimes. So
Yeah,
some big squills will even go there. And yeah, I think it brings a nice it's a nice balance, but it also changes because you can get bored if you, especially in screaming, where most of the times people will not immediately understand what is being said, so there is no
right.
real melody behind the voice.
Yep.
And this gives you a contrast between the two things, and if you balance them well, it can keep you hooked to a song.
Well, you wouldn't understand this, but I'm a glam guy, so I'm singing power ballads, buddy. That's how you get. That's how you get the ladies. Power
Oh,
ballads, my friend. Sneak yourself a couple power ballads in there.
absolutely, yeah.
You got to get you got to get a couple tracks on your album that we call panty droppers. You
Penny
gotta get.
droppers. Yeah, I get that concept. Absolutely, we'll definitely look into that. And look, I think we all started listening to things like that. It's not that
Sure.
glammy, but I started when I was, I don't know, 11 or 12, listening to all this power metal and
Yeah.
heavy metal.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah,
all
that's
started somewhere.
yeah. You gotta start
So what
somewhere.
kind of stuff do you so like when you sit down and write, because I notice you get a lot of writing credits. So you're in on writing a lot of these lyrics. Are you writing most of them yourself?
I wrote all them all. Yeah, the lyrics I read them all.
So the lyrics, when you sit down to write, like what do you take to the table with you? I don't know if you write on a computer or on a pad, but like where do you draw your inspiration from? I know you said this one's a concept album, but do you find that there's things about, your government or like the country that you live in that just anger you and bring that ability to write and tap into like that heavy side of music?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is that government and the Colombian and actually Latin American politics, it's something crazy because of again inequity. So we will have people that that make less, and I'm talking minimal wage here, less
Right.
than $200 per month, and that is what they live with.
Wow.
But
Wow.
there's people that do not even make that. So
Yeah.
of course that makes you angry, and I'm very connected to politics because of work. I cannot be like a public figure or speak out very loud, because
Right.
every company is connected in some way with politics, and you need to be just prudent about it. But definitely there are some things that make you feel angry. Or one thing about metal is that it speaks out for the things that are not right in the world.
Right.
It's not all blood and rape and terror films,
Right.
but
Right.
it's also a way to
Injustices.
yes,
Sure.
injustices and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So we did this first as something to describe how religion has been used to manipulate the population, especially when the people is not well educated. And that is something that still happens in Latin America all the time. Religion and politics go like this, and they
Sure.
act as a mind control mechanism. And then all the things that we are doing to the world in terms of how we treat the environment, how we treat the animals, how we do not take care of this planet that we were giving. And then if you mix that with other subjects that we like a lot, such as history, such as mythology, and then
Right.
science fiction and new technologies, that it's a very nice mix to understand how humans are becoming gods themselves,
Right.
but
Right.
very irresponsible, unreliable ones.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah, you're hitting on a lot of cool topics that I think will. And it's good to challenge the fans, make them freaking think a little bit. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
always that's always good. So I was going to ask you about like your own idols. How old of a guy are you? Still in your 20s?
No, I'm 30. I'm 31 now, so
Okay, so you've
not a
probably been
kid
listening to
anymore.
metal for a long time. So who are the guys? Who are the guys who first really got you excited about metal? Who are you listening to back in your youth that really started to shape your course on metal?
Yeah, it was very difficult back then, like in the early 2000s, to get music here
Right.
because internet was not a big thing yet. So we will have to
Obviously, we
kind of,
can hear. Obviously, we hear Black Dahlia. We know that for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. No, but that was later. I was maybe 15 when I started listening to them. But before that, just friends will be passing cassettes, and I started with Slipknot. I thought my parents were going to kill me because
I
yeah,
had strict parents too.
yeah.
That tried to ban what
Um,
I listened to.
so Slipknot will be one of the first ones. But then there's this. It's a Mexican band, but they have musicians from other bands called Brujeria. You probably heard of them.
Oh,
Bru-
yes. Yeah, I've never heard it pronounced that nicely because we're probably butchering it over here. Brujeria is who I always thought
oh,
they that's
so
really probably butchering it. So
yeah. So in Spanish it's just Brujeria, which is like witchcraft.
yeah, that sounds much nicer.
And yeah, Brujeria was one of the first ones I heard, and they had these lyrics in Spanish
Brujeria.
that I could understand back then, and they were talking about chopping narcos heads off and
Yeah,
things
they're
like that. I
scary.
was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's scary and that's brutal.
But I
So
always
yeah,
liked that. I like that in my metal though. I was telling someone that the other night. I like when my metal used to scare me though. It should be
yeah,
a little scary.
and that's the point. When Black Sabbath started, of course you know this, but they looked at the movies when they presented scary movies, and they were like, okay, we need music that does this,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
still do that.
Listen
Like,
to response from people. Yeah, you do that
yeah,
with music. Yeah. So I noticed that, well, you have to kind of do this when you're making concept album, but you did a fully realized album when a lot of other young bands are going like the singles route or the EP route. Why a full length album? And do you like that idea going forward of doing full length albums? I mean, there's so many different directions a band can go in nowadays as far as like how they want to distribute their music.
yeah. I think creatively speaking, it motivates you to continue composing and to give it a line. And
Yeah.
then if you think in terms of concept, that also things to think about and to work on, and it gets you excited.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
remember that I mentioned that we worked on this through the pandemic.
Right.
So
Right.
I am living in Bogota, which is the capital of Colombia, but the
Okay.
band is actually from Medellin, which you've probably heard of because of Pablo Escobar. Is the city of Pablo Escobar.
I feel like
So
I would. Oh, yeah, I feel like I would know that area because of Pablo Escobar or Sosa from Scarface.
oh yes, yeah,
Like some drug overlord living up in
yeah,
the mountain somewhere.
yeah. So the band is based. All the other musicians are based in Medellin. So in the pandemic, I didn't have a chance to go and rehearsal with them or see them or play live or anything else. So we were separated, and everyone at their house started writing and working on the album, and it helped us to continue and yeah, just keep going, doing the music, doing what we love, even when we don't have a chance to do it the way we were used to do it before.
Yeah, yeah. How does being a South American band, how do you think that shapes your sound in terms of like when Max Cavalera was doing those early Soulfly records and those Roots albums, he experimented even with like, Brazilian drums and sounds from down there. Is that a direction you guys would ever go in? Do you feel like you really want to infuse your culture into your music?
Yeah, that's difficult because the music is so different, but of course it influences us in one way or the other. I
Right,
love our Latin music and the things that happen here, not just your regular reggaeton or salsa, but some other things, especially Andean rhythms that are not well known
right.
outside of Colombia or countries like Peru or
Well, what
Bolivia.
was great with Max is though Max found a way to infuse those sounds and still keep the music heavy, which was really genius. I mean,
Absolutely. So for the moment, we've started introducing some of the topics, like with Kogi. but definitely in some of the riffs I can hear some traditional boleros, which is like the guitar music that is
Love it.
playing, yeah,
Yeah.
in South America.
Yeah.
So that definitely influences us. Then in the thing with Brazil is, they are very heavily influenced by African culture. Hence the
Okay.
reason he explored all these drums and weird
Sure.
things. Here in the Andean region, we are more string people, are more indigenous rather than African. But if someone has heard a good bolero, they will probably find influences in what we do, especially
Yeah.
in the riffs that Alfredo and Luigi, who are our guitarists, compose.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're putting your voice, you're traveling around, you're doing your job, you're going on business trips, but you're also putting a tremendous amount of strain doing both the screams and the growls. Is there anything that you do, like when you're at work, or do you have any kind of a routine that keeps your pipes in good shape?
Yeah, the first thing is to do it with discipline. At least one day a week. If I don't go to a rehearsal with the band, I just do it at home and record myself. That's one of the things that recording the whole album helped me with, like to stay in shape. And I will not just do it like sitting and screaming at the microphone, but jumping and moving around and doing the whole thing like if I was
Right.
on stage.
As if you're performing. Yeah. I
Yes.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you get a chance to check what the band is like live, especially recently, because we were through some member changes in one of those where I started, because Release Minds has had several vocalists now, and we like to move and we like to jump in the stage and we like to transmit that energy to the public, because this is what this music is about. I call it
Right.
cathartic. So
Right.
you bring all these problems from your, let's call it, boring business life, and you bring them on stage and everyone gets to release again, as in the
Right.
name,
Right. Yeah.
all
I
that
love that.
energy and all that
People need it.
negativity. Yeah,
Yeah. People
we
need
need
it.
it. Yeah, we need it. We've been doing this for long and we need it. If I am more than, I don't know, 2 weeks without screaming, I start feeling all the stress in my shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not healthy, right? You can't let it build up. Jesus, gotta let it out somewhere. So when you you had mentioned just a second ago that you were not the first vocalist, that you were what, the third or fourth, you said?
Yeah, I'm probably the fourth or something like that. The band is very old if you consider the lifespan of a metal band, of an average metal band in Latin America. The band is probably 10 or 12 years old. I've been with them for the past 4, I'd like to say, or 3 or 4.
So what has been the difficulty with keeping past vocalists, though? Like, has the rest of the nucleus, the core of the band, stayed together and it's just been a revolving thing of vocalists, or have other guys changed places too?
No, mainly the vocalists, and the reason is that having a band is like having an equal number of girlfriends as it is the number of
That's a
members
problem.
in
Yeah.
the band. Yes.
Well, more than one's a problem, buddy.
Yeah, so it's very complicated having a steady group, and me having different bands throughout these 15 years. It's very difficult to keep it stable. They have managed to do so, especially the two guitarists. But I think we're very stable now. We have people that is committed with the project, that really enjoy what we're doing. All of us are in our adult life now, so it's supposed to be more stable now.
Right.
Especially if you think in terms of work and financial stability. It's not that all of us are doing great or anything like that,
Right.
but at
Right.
least we know what this is about, and we don't bullshit ourselves regarding we are going to be huge now and we're going to be
Right.
playing
Right.
backhand and living out of
Right.
metal. This is work, passion, keep it going, keep working, and at some point you will have a chance to be in a great gig or in a great concert.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we are here, nothing else.
Well, I'll tell you what, as an American, we got just as much shit over here to be pissed off about. I just had eye surgery for a detached retina. Now I'm sitting home. Here's a good song for you. I'm sitting home getting short-term disability. $179 a week is what New York State pays. I make more than that. I work in healthcare. I'm a nurse. So I make way more than that in a day. It's just so insultive that you sit home and, you're getting paid next to God damn it, I'm writing a song tonight. You've inspired me, Juan. Here I come, buddy.
That's awesome. Send me the lyrics, and I assure you will make a version of it, and then we will put some nice South American rhythms in it. But absolutely, and we're already thinking in how do we want our next album to sound, and I'm already thinking what the lyrics I want to put there. And in equity, it's all about it. People keeps getting it's so selfish, and the rich keep getting richer and richer, and they just don't care about the rest of the world.
Right.
And it's the time that we start thinking as a species rather than just individuals. It's so
Right.
dumb that so many people get enough money to live 1,000 lives, and then there's still people that dying of hunger and very close to us. So
Yeah. A
there's
lot of
something that needs to change.
sad shit happening all over the place. So what's the hope and the dream with this band? Like what, I mean, obviously you seem very grounded in reality. You know, it's a very tough genre of music to gain commercial success in. You know, you pretty much have to be in it nowadays, as you said earlier, for the love of it, because you're certainly not getting, you know, a lot of, you know, monetary reward out of it. So what is the hope and the dream? Is it just this? You settle into your day job and this just stays more of a hobby? I mean,
Look, we do what it takes to take it out, to
right,
present ourselves to the world. We put our soul and our blood and everything we are in the music that we
sure,
create. And yeah, that's all that we want to do. If something else happens, if we get invited, if our large label wants to, and if that it still exists, and they ever
yeah,
wanted to do
yeah,
something with us, we'll be
yeah.
more than happy with it. But for the moment, it's just that it's keep going, keep doing it. And yeah, we're actually opening in a couple of weeks for Destruction, the German band.
Oh, now that's a pretty big gig. Yeah, those
Yeah,
guys are
so
legends. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
they are, and they are a big influence for us too. So this is exactly what we work for, and we're very happy with it. Step by step, we don't know what's coming next. Some interesting festivals coming. A second tour in Mexico, which is a bigger country than Colombia with a larger audience, and that we love to be. So yeah, those are the things that we work for, and for the moment, I think we're pretty much doing exactly what we want and what we dream with this.
what were some of the albums aside from Black Dahlia Murder? Like, what are some albums that just that instantly, you know, when a song or the album comes on, just really gets you going? That have always been like your go-to metal albums. You got a couple of them?
Yeah, everything. The Haunted. That is, I think it's a Swedish band. If
Okay.
yeah, the
Okay.
Haunted. Absolutely, what they do always gets my head moving instantly. It doesn't matter if I'm
Yeah.
driving or if I'm at the
Yeah.
office or anything like that. And then I really dig modern metal. Actually, Arkspire. I'm sure you know them. They
Yep.
are
Yep.
coming here in
Yep.
September, so I can't wait for their concert to happen. I
So
think they
see,
are
I love
doing.
seeing that. I love seeing that you're all geared up as a musician yourself. You realize the importance of going out and seeing live music and these bands surviving on what they make on merchandise and whatever the venue can afford to give them. It is a tough, daunting task right now to try to survive out there.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we as musicians often forget is that we need to be fans first. We
Sure.
need to
Yeah, I
support
love that.
our music, our industry, and and I've been in a couple concerts in the US, and I've seen that happen, and also in Europe. And is that since you're a musician, you prefer criticizing the band that it's in the stage rather than being a fan and
Yeah.
enjoying what they are offering to you. And that
Yeah.
is something that we have done very wrong as public in the metal scene. I think it has happened a lot,
Right.
but I never forget being a fan. I love moshing, I love jumping, I love
Yeah.
screaming when I am looking at a band that I enjoy, and I
Yeah.
am always looking forward to listen to new music, even when there are bands opening for us. I like checking them out and being and yeah, and seeing what they have to offer in terms of sound. And some of them have become very yeah, bands that I really like.
Yeah. Well, because we don't know about the future history of how Black Dahlia Murder, since his passing, will move on or what direction they're going to go in. If you take them out of the equation, if you were to compare your band to an American band that you think is doing the same thing over here, who would you say? Like, if an American fan wanted to ask you, okay, tell me somebody that you guys sound like, or that I could relate you guys to.
Oh, that's a tough question because I don't think we are remotely to the level to some of the bands that I really like. For instance, you know Obscura.
Sure, sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they
Yeah,
are a huge influence for our guitarists.
yeah.
So I would like to say we try to introduce some Obscura things, but
I
I
also hear in your vocals and I mean this is an utmost compliment. I definitely hear some Acacia Strain as well.
Oh yeah. So my
and I've met Vincent before, the lead singer of Acacia Strain. Fantastic guy, very straight edge, but very committed to his lifestyle. Has his own clothing line. You know, I mean, a guy that I hope to get on here someday. But a guy who's really got it together. You know, I mean, just a progressive thinker in the music business. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I was a straight edge myself early back a few years back. A hardcore and was a big influence for me. The early metalcore bands. They helped me to develop what I do is screaming wise. So yeah, those are very big influences too. I mean, I know it is not very metal, but I also started in the metalcore world with As I Like Dying, listening to As I Like Dying, to
I mean,
some of the other bands that still do things. Oh, August Burns Red, I really dig August Burns Red. I think they still do very nice things. So even, and that's another thing among us metalheads. Some of these snobs that you mentioned think that some bands are not worthy.
Yeah, I stopped worrying about that a long time ago, being labeled as the dreaded poser. You know what I mean? I don't care anymore. I think the wider your musical palette is, the better. Like I will go on record and have said it for years that my favorite musical artist of all time is Prince. He's the soundtrack to my childhood, and I love the man. I literally don't ever usually get all kind of like fanboy or get all giddy over stars, but I had tears in my eyes the day he died. I just thought of how much of him was in my ears as a child, you know.
Absolutely. And look, that happened when I was a kid. Before Slipknot or any of those things, the first rock bands that I did was Linkin Park, for instance. And I am proud to say it. I mean, and it's a shame that both of the vocalists that I looked up to are resting in peace now. But that was very important for me too. And you know what? I get to enjoy again Latin music, some softer rock music. And then when it is time for metal, I will go with Arcspy, Infant Annihilator, or any heavy stuff that you want to name. I can enjoy everything. And I think it's better if we respect the fact that all these people are working and putting their soul into something, and they want you to enjoy it, and they want you to understand a bit of what it's in their heads and in their hearts, and that's what counts.
Yeah. So what's a typical, when you go out to see live music down in South America, is it mostly going to like what bands play up here, like little clubs, little dive bars? Are the venues like that down there as well?
Yeah, little clubs, little pubs. Then if you want to be in larger events, then there are a lot of public festivals. So the cities will have like some resources devoted to culture, to cultural affairs, and some of them are rock festivals. In Bogota, there's a very large one called Rock al Parque, which is Rock to the Park.
Yeah, easy for you to say.
And
very
in
nicely
articulated. In this event, we have every year several international bands. It's not a Wacken or a Hellfest or something like that, but it's a very large festival. We have the Black Dahlia Murder here. We've had Cattle Decapitation and Tom. A lot of very heavy and interesting bands from all over the world, and local bands get to play there, and that is like the major event a local band can be in. But smaller cities will have their own versions too, and we'll have a couple of international guests. So that's pretty much the larger event you can be in. It's a public festival, and then besides that, some bands have started to gather and do larger events, trying to keep the local scene alive. We a couple of months back played in a Dia del Metal Colombiano, which is like Colombian Metal Day.
Okay.
And it was only with Colombian bands. It was very surprising to see almost 2,000 people paying for an expensive ticket if you consider the local income. And it was full, it was packed, it was amazing. We get to play with some legendary Colombian bands. So yeah, I think we have the three sizes: the small venue gigs in bars, and then private festivals, and then the public festival, which are the largest.
Now I'm intrigued by that huge festival, the Colombian Music Festival there. How many bands and how long of an event is something like that? Is that like kind of an all day festival?
Yes, it's a 3 days festival. One thing is that we have a lot of holidays here in Colombia.
I love that.
Yeah,
Jesus.
So yeah,
Pack
they
the
take
bags,
one of
honey. We're leaving.
it's a good idea. So so we have a lot of holiday Mondays, and what they do is that they start either Friday or Saturday, and it's a very big park where you can fit in the main stage, I think up to 100,000 people, and then you have two very large stages, each, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30,000 people. So you will have more than 100,000 people every day, and they separated or they classified by genre. So one day will be more uh, punk and ska and reggae, and the
Oh, I
other
like
day you will
that.
have, yeah,
Yeah,
more
fusing a lot
indie,
of things
uh,
together.
yeah,
I
more
like
like,
the fusion.
yes, yes, and you can go the 3 days, and it's for free because it's public. And the other day will have one day we'll have metal and heavy genres, and the other one will be like more commercial rock, like pop rock and stuff like that, and
Right.
you will have
Nothing wrong with
some,
that stuff either. Nothing
yeah,
wrong with
yeah.
that stuff. Well, as a front man myself, let me give you my tips. What I do pre-show, I always gargle with a little Jack Daniels. And then what I usually do is I do a little bit of the devil's dandruff, but I make sure I snort it right off of a stripper's ass. It works. It works every time. So that's my advice to you if you're going to be a successful frontman, and bang lots of chicks. Make sure you're banging a lot.
Oh, I think, yeah, I think it never really happened to me like
Unless you're
this
married.
didn't.
Are you married?
I was. I'm not anymore. But the last thing I'm thinking of is banging a bunch of chicks.
You see that, man? You're not even thinking like a front man yet. You're still thinking like a level-headed guy. I
Yeah, I
like
gotta do
that, though.
something.
I
I
like
gotta do
that.
something about it. I gotta
Yeah,
do
there's
something
something
about it.
about it. Well, so what's next for you guys? Tell us what's next for Released Minds. Are you going back in the studio? Continue to tour? When will we see a new album from you guys?
Absolutely. Okay, so we
Don't
launched
go
the new
nowhere.
album. Yeah, we launched the new album on Spotify. Oh, there's a popping here. Hey, we launched the new album on Spotify. We're just going to launch it physically. It's fresh out of the press. So we're gonna sell it locally here in Colombia. Then we are planning the tour in Mexico. We expect that to be a reality by the end of this year, and then a bunch of local shows with some of them with international bands. And of course, we will continue recording and yeah, making music. And we expect to launch a new album maybe in a year or a year and a half.
It's very difficult. I understand, I mean, with expenses and like I said earlier, the record company or record companies in the record industry not being what it once was. So very difficult to get you guys to the States to play gigs.
I don't think so. We were more than happy to do that, and we're looking forward. We've actually have conversations, or our manager has talked with some people there. We work with a manager, a company called Backline Americas, and
Okay.
they are very good at organizing this type of thing. So it is very likely that at some point, maybe next year, we can get some gigs and get our asses up there, and of course experiencing that. I was
Yeah.
at a rap tour once, and I got too much there, and of course you guys are way taller and stronger than we are, so I was bouncing between the people like if I was a ball. But I really enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
remember that I get to check, I think it was Chelsea Green, and also I wrestled Bear once. It was
Okay.
back in
Okay. Yeah.
2012. So of course that was
Yeah. See,
that type of thing.
I'm going to be 50 years old next year. Have already had a couple back surgeries. So unfortunately, the moshing days have been put on the back burner. As much as I want to jump in there sometimes, I've had to leave those days behind, age and health issues, Eventually you got to hang up your your moshing boots, I guess,
Oh, I guess I'm 32 now, so I don't think I'm that far from that
Yeah.
moment. But
It's
I still enjoy it. I still
it's
enjoy it
not
a lot.
so tough.
Even
It's not that the mosh pit's so tough. It's the morning after the mosh pit where you can be a little a little bit sore,
well, you kind of, it's worse than a hangover, way worse.
Yeah, yeah. So Released Minds, give us the name of the album one more time. Tell the audience out there.
Degraded Divinity. Check it on Spotify. That helps
Yeah.
us a lot.
It absolutely fucking crushes. The riffs melt your fucking face off. You'll want to commit a fucking murder during the breakdowns. I mean, you know what I mean? It could be the soundtrack. It could be the soundtrack to a homicide. I don't think there'll be a lot of wedding songs on there.
Uh,
I'd walk down the
absolutely.
I'd walk down the aisle to Kogi. Why the hell not?
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's
Hey,
awesome.
it's been a pleasure talking to you, Juan. I really appreciate it, man. I know we've talked the last couple of days. It's been a hassle. You had some travel problems, and you were gracious enough to still join us, man. I appreciate you, man. So thank you.
No, and I appreciate your patience. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for taking
of
the time
course.
to listen to us. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell other people about what we do. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. We feel
Yeah.
very honored. The guys were super excited about this happening. None of
Awesome.
them speaks like fluent English, so they were like, "Okay, yeah, you're gonna do it. Go on, tell us how it
Yeah,
goes."
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm just gonna call them and tell them it went awesome. How awesome you are!
And
I
I've got
hope
some already. I've got some already recorded. So as soon as the week comes, I put them up usually like once a week. So as soon as you guys come up, I'll send you a link to it so you guys can check it out and stuff. So
please do.
Yeah,
And
I will. I'll stay in touch.
Yeah,
I'll stay in touch. Hopefully you had a good time and we can do it again sometime. For sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Keep rocking, my brother.
Take care. Appreciate it.
Man.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. All right. There you have it. That's a nice young man right there. Nice young Colombian man. And we didn't even have to go out in the jungles to find him. Spent damn near an hour with us, man. He's a good kid. Juan Sebastian Duque from the band Released Minds. That's what you got to do. This is very heavy music, not easily digestible. It is a face puncher, but good kids. Degraded Divinity is the name of the album. You heard him say it was a concept album. A lot of cool things that they talk about if you really get into, listening to it on musical platforms where you can see the lyrics. Very deep, introspective. These guys are some smart fellas down there crafting some well-made songs. So hopefully you guys got a lot of that. He was a really nice guy and definitely a friend of the show. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Pod Scum. And I will see you guys the next time. So this is Rex Ruger, XXX Rex. I am signing off, and I am telling you guys to take it easy and keep it sleazy.